In Ireland, a man is sprinting across a pitch-black woodland. Even though he keeps seeing signs that read "point of no return" and have different numbers that indicate either directions or distances to anything, he still appears scared. But he is unable to get away. Darkness descends swiftly on the scene. He tumbles down into a pit while a swarm of birds soars overhead. The next instant, he is seized and pulled away by an unseen force. Minna is an artist who works in a pet shop in another part of the country. Her boss asks her to carry a rare parrot to a nearby city's zoo one day. Minna concurs as well. She brings the bird to spend the night at home. She informs the parrot there that her mother passed away 15 years ago. The bird suddenly begins to react. Minna dons a wig and travels to a pub in the evening, where she presents herself to a man who goes by a false name and claims to be a dancer. Minna apologizes to the parrot for her actions in the morning, stating that the parrot would likely dislike the real her. At last, the two embarked on their adventure. Her sister Lucy calls while she's on the road to remind her that she has nieces and family who are waiting for her. The parrot's cage is taken as the car unexpectedly breaks down and stalls, and the connection also mysteriously turns off. Minna enters the road to get assistance, but the woodland is deserted and dark. The road is empty when she gets back to where she left the automobile. Minna keeps walking into the rapidly darkening region, suggesting they call the bird Darwin and conversing with it to stay happy. Abruptly, she spots a woman rushing by and chooses to pursue her. When Minna finds her close to a tiny home in the woods, the woman who opens the door tells her to hurry inside if she wishes to survive. Minna, of course, dashes into the cabin. Madeline is the name of the elderly woman. She and two other young people, Daniel and Sierra, have been residing here for a while. Since the onlookers can only watch from outside because they are unable to enter, she gives Minna the command to stand in front of a mirror right away. Arriving each evening after sunset, Minna is standing at the mirror when she hears a sound. It sounds like cheers. Her concerns are confirmed by Madeline. The spectators are cheering when a new thing appears. Minna declares her intention to depart in the morning. She enters the woodland even though the others tell her it's not possible. She is caught by Madeline, who explains that hallucinations are caused by the forest. However, one may survive here. The border from which one can arrive at the lodge before dusk is marked by signs strewn across the woodland. But there won't be a way back once you cross the line. They were created by a man who is currently known as the Professor. Nobody is aware. Daniel performs for the watchers that evening, introducing them to the newcomer, but they request that she act normally. As she does each evening, Sierra switches on the music and starts dancing. Minna, however, discovers this through recordings of television programs that look for love. Her missing husband asks the girl to look after Daniel, so she and Sierra go to collect medical herbs in the morning. The man then vanished while looking for a way out. Recounts how they just discovered odd burrows strewn over the woodland. The people who watch go there in the daytime. After nearly 5 months, she thinks she has been in the cabin. The safety regulations are announced by Madeline. Don't ever go out at night. Don't ever let someone in. Stay in the light at all times. Strange life starts with days that are exactly the same. Minna frequently stands looking into the mirror while watching countless episodes. She knocks on it one day, and the door gets knocked on right away. Everything pauses when Madeline gives the order for everyone to freeze. She goes hunting with Daniel the following day. Madeline used to work at the university, the boy informs her. She therefore views herself as knowledgeable. She's been here the longest, though. Despite spending 8 months in the cabin, Daniel has never seen anyone. Minna listens to the boy and persuades Daniel to accompany her on a rope exploration of a hole. As Minna lowers and investigates, she discovers old objects, newspapers, toys, electronics, and an old bicycle, which she fastens to the rope and raises. Then there were odd noises, like those at night. Echoes come from the darkness outside the cabin walls. As Minna cries, the rope drops to her feet and ascends into the light. Minna exits the hazardous area, and they use the bicycle to gently inspect the objects. There may be a way out of here, but Madeline reacts to this in a somewhat peculiar way. Daniel, in the meantime, installs a camera near the door and uses the gadgets he obtained to put together a surveillance system. Everything is normal at night. Daniel indicates that someone has arrived as Sierra dances in response to a knock on the door. They hear Sierra's husband's voice, but Madeline won't let them open it. Sarah asks him what book she is reading in an attempt to identify it as John, but he doesn't respond. The man pleads to be spared from execution, even though they purchased this book together on his recommendation. Something pulls Sierra into the woodland as he leans in to gaze into the camera, despite his request to do so. The mirror gets knocked on right away, more powerful than before. The knocking stops as Madeline appears to be protecting the people by standing in front of them. Madeline demands that they stop breaking the rules by tossing the bicycle into the burrow in the morning. Mina later remembers that her mother and sister had asked the girls to go for a vehicle ride. Mina opened the window to let in the lovely weather. The wind was bothering her, so her mother instructed her to close it. Mina, however, paid no attention. Mina still feels bad about imitating her mother, who was distracted from the road during the accident. Soon it was winter. Food became more and more scarce, the nights grew colder, and the days grew shorter. Arguments broke out between the cabin's residents. Sierra went into the wilderness one day. When Mina finally got up with her, she said that she believed John to be genuine. Enraged with Madeline and Mina, she rushes to the house from where Daniel cries, refusing to let them in. Soon after, the women take cover beneath a tree. Lanky, spider-like creatures emerge from the forest, making horrible, high-pitched noises as they approach the cabin window. As Mina and Madeline wait for Daniel and Sierra to depart so they may head back to the cabin, the onlookers gaze at them. The women run to the door and plead to be allowed inside when they do. After Daniel declines, Mina confides in him about her feelings of remorse toward her mother. She begs him to realize that he is accountable for people's deaths and that he will endure suffering for the rest of his life. The doors open. To show the onlookers that they are there, the four of them instantly stand in front of the mirror. Madeline acknowledges that she made an effort to shield them from some threats. She came here willingly, unlike others, and had previously taught mythology and history. It wasn't until she hunted by herself and saw herself at sunset that she realized how hazardous this location was. Very similar, but not a perfect replica. The Watchers are an ancient species known by a variety of names, including fairies, changelings, and winged ones. They will never allow someone to go after studying them to imitate them. Outside, one can hear the voices of the cabin's occupants knocking. Daniel then discovers a floor hatch that they were completely unaware of. As they descend, they find a sturdy and furnished dwelling with provisions and tools. In a video recording, Mina switches on an outdated computer and displays the professor's face, whose real name was Rory Kilmartin. He was the first to examine the watches and attempt to discover their ancestry. The scientist discovered this location in 1979 and named it Wonderland. For several years prior to this, the Watchers visited his window every evening and observed him. Because they didn't believe his stories, the professor's colleagues made fun of him. Then, with the help of men from adjacent isolated settlements, he constructed this bunker. To ensure that their absence would not draw much attention, he picked lonely or habitual people. He persuaded them to eat dinner outside, as he often does. He watched from inside while the Watchers dealt with them. This bunker was thus constructed on blood. One day, a red-haired girl who was a Watcher materialized in front of him. She looked inquisitive and innocuous, yet she was completely different from the rest. He came to the realization that he might even defeat death if he could discover the fairy's secrets. He took an inconceivable action. Tried to make friends with this girl by putting her in a cage and starting communication tests. She appeared to pay attention to him even though she occasionally transformed into a terrifying, long-armed monster. She gradually grew closer and more relatable to him. However, the professor was now prepared to take his own life after realizing he had accomplished nothing noteworthy. This is the only way out after he struck a boat near the river. Simply pay attention to the birds. He requests that the survivor visit his university office and destroy every paper that is discovered there. He will now visit her and be here indefinitely. Kilmartin is shown ascending in the most recent recording. There are gunshots, and then nothing. Sierra puts on the music and asks Daniel to dance as she knows this is their last night in the forest, but he appears sad about leaving. He claims he has nowhere to go because his family is dysfunctional. Then, as they have become close friends, the girl offers to let him live with her for a while until they find him a nice job and a place to live. The gang departs in the morning, led by Mina's parrot, whom she asks to lead them, and the signs. They soon arrive at a big stone desk in the ground that hides the entrance to a vast tunnel. The final members of the ancient fairy race, who were formerly rather amiable with humans, were imprisoned here, according to Madeline. They surfaced after several centuries. However, the friendship has now devolved into animosity. They remain here because magic holds them. They must therefore flee far away. All day long, they go for walks. The sun sets, yet no river or boat can be seen. When they witness enormous flocks of birds traveling in one direction, they get hopeless as it begins to rain. They chase after them till they come to the river. When Daniel notices John and hears screaming behind him, the women run to the boat. He comes back for him, happy that the man is still alive. As it happens, though, it's a changeling. As Madeline, Mina, and Sierra sail down the river, Daniel is killed by the Watcher, who takes on his shape despite the women's cries for him to flee. They had returned to civilization when the women in the boat awaken. They listen to music as they get off a bus and head into the city, and just now understand that it's finished. Later, pretending to be his niece, Mina visits the university where Kilmartin worked in order to enter his office and grant his final request. She discovers further records, images, and a recording there where he talks about fairies and the existence of half-blood children worldwide. When Mina discovers a pile of pictures, she appears astonished. When Mina visits Sarah's home in the evening, she displays a picture of Madeline from the professor's possessions and explains that it is his wife, who passed away a number of years ago. Therefore, the Madeline that they shared a cabin with was a unique fairy that could move during the day. She was the one Kilmartin captured. He was unable to murder her, and in order to return to civilization, she assumed the shape of Madeline. The real Sierra exits the car when it approaches the house, but the person she is speaking to is actually a fairy. The fairy knocks Mina unconscious and transforms back into Daniel after realizing she has been revealed. All they desire is to live like other animals. However, they are compelled to remain underground because of human hostility. The fairy travels to Mina after turning into Kilmartin. The fairy changes into her inside the house and gets ready to murder the girl. However, because she is part human and recognizes that humans were wrong to expel the fairies from their world, Mina claims that there are others who are similar to her somewhere. The fairy acknowledges that Mina might be correct and expands her wings before taking off. Chiara is revived by Mina. She eventually forgives herself for their mother's passing when she later reunites with her twin sister, Lucy. She shares her story with her, acknowledging that she continues to see Madeline manifesting as other individuals. Mina is shown a sketch of herself in Darwin by her nieces, whom she continues to keep as a pet. A girl with red hair arrives outside, assuming the appearance of a girl with an odd face and staring at the windows of their apartment. When a child requests something disturbing to help them fall asleep, this is most likely a scary bedtime story rather than a horror film. The conclusion develops a little, but everything builds up nicely and gradually. Mundanity, but in a surprising way.